Welcome back to Craftsman David. Today I have a relatively simple video involving this 12-inch disc sander. I purchased this disc sander for $40 at an auction about 3 months ago, and it was in pretty rough shape. Since then I took it all apart, I stripped it from rust, I repainted it, I solved a problem with the motor, and I added the start and stop switch with the nice big paddle there. I'd like to start using it. Problem is, this older style of disc sander does not have a standard dust collection port that hooks to a shop vac. It's got this goofy oval shape with a flange that you have to get an adapter from Delta, and if you can even find them, they're expensive because this is an antique. So I want to be able to use this and connect it to my dust collection system, but in order to do that I have to build an adapter for that odd dust port. So today, that's what we're going to do. So let me start by showing you the existing port. If you look on the underneath, it's got an oval-shaped port with a mounting hole on each side. Now those are 1/4 holes, so that's a standard size. I just need to get a block of wood that'll mount there and have a circular cutout. I bought a shop vac fitting that's going to be the basis of how my hose connects. And what's cool about this fitting is it connects any size to any other size, and it comes with a flange. So when I stick it into the hole, I can actually connect it to the wood with screws, and then I don't have to rely on any kind of adhesive or anything. The screws will hold it in there. Now I'm using the measurements I took off the machine to lay out this adapter. The part is so simple there was no need for CAD. I just laid it out with a compass and ruler. I'm going to start with the 2-inch Forstner bit for the center hole, and you'll notice that I have the drill press set very slow. I always like drilling with a Forstner bit because it takes off so much material so easily. It's somehow really satisfying. So here we go. Now for dust collection. And I'm also going to drill out the mounting holes with a brad point bit. Now I've got my inside oval and I got my hole, and I'm going to use what's called a power file to carve sort of a funnel shape down into the port. And making a funnel's just that easy, folks. Next I'm going to cut this out with a scroll saw. I'd use my bandsaw, but it's still out of commission. And now it's really starting to take shape. Now to clean up those rough edges at the belt sander. And I'll also do the faces. And this really wouldn't be necessary, but I already have a roundover bit set up in my router table, so I'm just going to ease over the corners on this thing. Now I'm ready for assembly. I took my shop vac fitting and I cut it a 1/2 inch away from this flange. I just used a utility knife to cut it. It's just rubber. Now I can stick it in there. And you can see that's a nice looking fit there. A centering bit works great for getting pilot holes right in the center of the mounting hole. Then I can go ahead and screw this fitting down. You'll notice I'm putting washers under the head here so that their heads don't sink into the rubber. So, adapter is finished. I was all set to bolt it on with my 1/4 inch bolts, but that's not actually a 1/4 inch hole. Oops. It's actually a 5/16 hole, the next size up. So to solve this, I'm going to take a 3/8 drill and I'm going to ream these holes out a little bit bigger to give me a little bit of clearance for my 5/16 bolts. There we go, much better. Let's turn on the power. You can feel it. At last, the first time I get to use this machine. Whoa, that takes off material fast. Try to see the difference now between these two clips. Here's with dust collection, and here's without. See the cloud? And that's why dust collection is so important on sanders. They generate fine dust which easily gets in your lungs. So now I have both a disc sander and a belt sander, and both of them kind of do the same thing in terms of shaping material to getting a flat edge. Now note they are shaping machines. I don't consider these to be finished sanding machines. You can get different grits to put on the face and different grits of belts to put on to that. However, changing that out is not real easy, especially on a disc sander. So I don't think anyone really uses a disc sander or a belt sander to go from 80 grit to 120 to 150 to 180 to 220 to get a finished surface. That's just not what they're for. But the difference between the two is this one is turning like this. So when you sand a piece of wood on a disc sander, your reaction force to the friction is going straight into the table. So the table supporting it is what gives you the reaction force. That means that you can move your piece around freely on the table and you can get a lot more precise in your shaping. On the other hand, a belt sander moves like this. So when I sand at the belt sander, I put my hand here to counter the reaction force of the friction going this way. I have to push my wood that way to counter that force. And I always end up with a little bit of vibration in doing that. So it's hard to shape perfectly flat at the belt sander because of that shake. Now, an advantage the belt sander has is not only can you shave straight on, you can also do inside curves and things which a disc sander cannot do. So both these machines pretty much do the same job, with this one slightly more precise, but in the end, I'm going to keep both, mostly because I got a great deal on them. Oh, until next time, see you later!